let's study more about rich people and successful people. So we studied about these people. What is it that they are doing differently, that they are stable in their finances? So what we found that is that the rich people or the successful people have a money or a rich mindset. But then I told Brenda, how to keep this mindset when you have pressure of pending bills on your head? How to keep that type of mindset, because then there is stress involved in all these type of things. So then what we figured out, that we actually created a recipe. I call it as a recipe, not a formula. We created out with our method, we created a recipe of money and money mindset. We work on the subconscious to create that recipe, to install money and money mindset. But in this whole game, what we found, Nilu, that money mindset was not the biggest block. The biggest block, as the biggest connection, happened to be with the ancestral mindset. Right, Brenda?
So then we found that, what happened was actually we basically, look, we aren't just happen to be on this planet, right? We have a lineage, we have parents, grandparents, and much more further, right? And what we realize is that we inherit unresolved energies, relationship, unfinished business, longings, desires, so whatever our parents, our grandparents wanted to do, that is actually what we inherit. And I'll give you a very, very simple example, for the longest time, like how we inherit our parents and their parents' desires. For the very longest time, I wanted to play the piano. And it was like from 5 years, like when I was 5 years, I wanted to play the piano. And that time my mom said, no, you're not going to, it's too expensive. Who knows if you're going to actually carry on? And that time we used to only get the baby grand piano. We used to not get these little small pianos, the electric ones. So then at like when I hit my last year, I hit my 55th birthday, and I said, nothing doing, I'm going to actually learn the piano. And with our miracle method, I actually downloaded the skill to learn the piano, and I actually started learning the piano. And then one day I was doing an ancestral drawing, and I realized, we were gifting our ancestors, and I gifted my mom a piano. And I'm like, huh? I gifted her a piano, how come? So I called her up and I said, did you ever want to play the piano? And she said, yeah, when I was small, I also had a grand piano, but her sister was sick and she couldn't play the piano. And so, you can actually see that all my nephews, all my mother's grandchildren, most of them, she's got 12, 10 of them play music. Most of them play the piano. I'm the only child now playing piano. And her great-grandchild is also playing piano. So you can see already 3 existing generations are fulfilling her desire. Now, this is very simple, a piano. Imagine if your ancestors wanted something different. So that is how potent these desires, these longings. And so what we do is we start living our life and our destiny according into the eyes and the perception of our parents, grandparents, and their parents. We aren't living our life, we aren't living our destiny. And so this is where we get stuck in, all the things that start blocking us. And do you realize that actually we see that 75% of our money blocks come from our ancestors? Like, because they had chronic life struggles, they had so much, like life was much tougher earlier on. Now we have all these new age technologies and we have Wi-Fi and all of that. Imagine they had no telephone. They had to walk from one village to another village to convey a message, which probably took 3 months, and probably sometimes they died on the way, because that was how it was. Right. So that's what we realized comes from our ancestors, and 97% of blockage of career blocks come from our ancestors. So yeah, that's what we realized, that ancestors play a very big role in our lives.
Right. And I'm just going to very quickly come in here, because there's a fair amount of things that you brought up with ancestors. You also mentioned a percentage. We will circle back to that, and I know that people will also get to know and experience a little bit more on that. So I want to let everybody know, keep listening, because it's all going to connect together very soon. Charu, you were saying something. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So, and then we created a roadmap to clear these emotions and also the negative connections that we have to the with the ancestors, so that we can connect to the rich mindset, so that we can connect to the money mindset which successful people have.
Fantastic.
So one day what we decided, obviously we need to test our roadmap, right? Because
Right.
now we are in testing stage. After we've done research, we come to testing stage. So I told Charu, let's play a game. Let's pull in like about 50,000 rupees, which is about $600. And like, like two excited girls, we are waiting. We do our clearance and we're waiting, and then by the end of the day, Charu receives a deposit in her account exactly for this amount. And she doesn't know where it has come from. Nothing. Like, huh? What is this? Then after that, she receives a call and that lady says, I got your number and I urgently need negativity clearance for my family members and I've deposited the money. And please do the needful. So Charu looks at me and says, what do you say?
I said, Brenda, why didn't you give me a bigger amount? So yeah, so but then what we did is we continued with this game. We thought like, now let's challenge ourselves with a bigger amount. So we doubled the amount this time, and we tested the same formula, and we left it and we waited. So the game we were playing was to manifest it within 24 hours.
Okay.
So yeah. So then we doubled the amount, we manifested, we wanted to pull, so money mindset, these are all energies. And the game we were playing is, if this is energy, how can we pull it to ourselves? Right. So we doubled the amount and then we said, okay, now let's pull this. And when we did this experiment, now the amount was 1 lakh rupees, which is $1,400, not a very big amount, but not peanuts also.
Correct.
To have it in within 24 hours.
Right.
So when we did that evening, one girl who was chasing me from a long time, she wanted to learn miracle method, but she wanted to understand what it is. So I had told her a long time back that whenever you are coming to my area, just come to my place and I'll give you a demo. Right. So the way we explain miracle method to people is we give pain demos. We clear pain faster than a painkiller. So right. when she came with her mother and a sister who were not interested in learning the course. Only she was interested. So I said, okay, I'll give you a pain demo. So she did not have any pain, but she said, my sister has pain, you clear for her. The sister said, don't even put your hands on me because I have a very chronic backache, which is 6 years old, and surgery is recommended. So your demonstration will go as a fail. But I said, no worries, let me just give it a try because no one else has pain. So I did one demo on her and you won't believe the pain just disappeared. Not only pain disappeared, she could have more flexibility. And I remember she got off the sofa, bent down, went up, and she was like literally shocked and surprised with the result. So this girl quickly confirmed to me that I am in for the next batch. I said, okay. They left my place. After 15-20 minutes, they called me again. I said, yes. They said, Charu, we are still in your parking lot. Okay, what is it? She said, actually, we were just testing my sister's back and it really feels good. And it's like the method is really miraculous. So now all three of us are interested in learning. Even my mom wants to learn.
Oh, fantastic.
So I said, okay. And then that day I got an medical emergency healing session as well. And then by night, I realized 3 people registering for my course, 30,000 into 3 is 90,000, and 1 session coming, which is also more than, so it went up more than 1 lakh. So right. Then I called Brenda, I said, oh wow, we pulled 1 lakh within 24 hours. 24 hours. Right. So, yeah, this is how the magic started happening.
That is amazing. I just also very quickly want to come back to the fact that this girl's sister who was in so much pain said that don't touch me also. And this is a no contact thing, right? So you didn't have to actually touch her because you're using a pendulum. So for people who are new to the method, hearing about it for the first time, it's a completely no contact form and technique. So yeah, and you know, these are amazing stories with your experiments and your research. and on yourself, of course, first, before like throwing it out in the world. Coming to that also, but you've been mentioning ancestors a lot. So I want to know from you, all of us do, that what was the ancestral role around your own stories first? Did you find that out? And did it contribute to anything else that you were doing, or any other research goals that you had set for yourself?
Yeah. So this year in January, when I was doing my vision board, I got this information that I want to connect more with Mother Earth. I want to strengthen my connection with Mother Earth. And I wanted to actually buy a farmhouse. So then I did, and you know, buying a farmhouse required bigger chunks of money. So when I worked on myself, I found that from my mother's ancestral side had chronic life conditions, and from my father's side, I had warrior archetype. So just to tell you a little bit more, that my father's family, my father's side of family, was actively and deeply involved with India's freedom movement in 1940s. So my belief for money was that I had to work hard and I have to fight for money. This was the belief that I was carrying. So I did a deep clearing on this belief, and within 4 months, I bought a farmhouse for myself, a decent size of farmland with absolute ease, no loan taken.
Amazing. Big congratulations to you. And all of this has happened with the BNC Miracle method, with this ancestral work that we're talking about. Coming to that, more on that also. So Charu, this, you know, okay, I cannot get over this fact that you were able to buy land. Forget house, forget farmhouse, okay? Land without taking a loan. That's a big thing. It's a big thing. So kudos to you, to your method, and huge congratulations to you and Brenda. So do you have a similar story?
But you know, my vision, you know what was my vision? My vision was a holiday home. So I manifested a holiday home. So I have an invite on the farm.
Works, doesn't it? Holiday home, landed in your lap.
I also did not spend.
And hello, free.
Free, exactly.
You're never gonna have to pay for it.
Exactly.
That is fantastic. That is amazing. But no, but jokes aside, seriously, Brenda, that is what you had manifested?
Yeah, jokes aside,
for?
actually, so my vision in the next 5 years actually is to tour India. I've this feeling towards India and the richness of India, and I feel I've gone to a lot of countries and I like to travel. And so my vision is to do B&B, not own anything, backpack in India. And because everything is on Zoom now, you know, thanks to COVID, made everything through Zoom. So all our work, everything is on Zoom. And so that was my idea, actually, to have a holiday home, travel, enjoy. And then Charu said, I'm going to build a holiday home, and it's going to have like two rooms and a meditation room. And I'm like, yes, thank you, Charu. And thank you, universe.
Charu, we are getting Mystic Lotus and Dragonflies discount, no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, instant manifestation.
Yeah.
A couple of questions have come in, Brenda and Charu, and I'll bring them up very quickly. Before doing that, I very quickly also wanted to ask you, you mentioned a little earlier about the percent. You said 75% and 97%, right? So is there, I definitely wanted to ask, you know, why have you gone down the ancestral route? But you've already explained that very nicely, with the fact that, you know, this is the mindset that is being carried forward and we live with today without even realizing. But this percentage that you've come up with, that you're mentioning here, is there any story, story or connection behind that? Like, where did this particular percentage come from?
So what we have seen is that mostly ancestral karma affects us in different ways. So we basically have prolonged illnesses, or we have some lifelong problems. or we have, chronic bad luck, like this is very much there, like, I have bad luck. And so taking all of this research, what we found was that most of the people coming to us, mostly 90% of them were blocked by their ancestors. It's just what we have been doing in our ancestral work. When we actually look at, we started doing percentages, and mostly we found that money was the biggest block. And if you're going to see, money is in everything, right? We need money for most everything, to live luxurious, to have a happy life, to do anything in the world. You require money. Whatever said and done, people require money.
Right. Absolutely. It is an exchange, right? It's an exchange, so it is required. Yes.
Yeah.
So Somali is asked, Brenda and Charu, that her question is, if we are affected by ancestors' desires, then what about our own pre-birth planning, and what about our soul contract?
Yeah, so we continue doing them side by side. It's not like we don't do our own pre-birth contracts and our soul this. And it's not all of us take on so much of our ancestral, right? So
Right.
What happened is we're all loyal to our ancestors. This is how it is, right? We are loyal to ancestors. So if somebody has a longing or a fulfill, this is part of our soul contract. We soul contract to say, I'll do it for you. Like, how we do it, like our mother's so sick, and so many times we say, oh God, please, I hope she doesn't suffer. Please give the suffering to me, and that's like a soul contract as well. And that's your desire as well. And in a way, by actually healing our ancestors, by gifting them, by blessing them, and we all do it, like in India, it's so much done, right?
Right.
We start negating this bond, and we start creating more ease in the family. And that is actually what we're doing. We're actually ending their stories and renewing us. So if we're stuck with our ancestors, we aren't able to enjoy our life. So our soul contract stays behind. Our soul, whatever we come to, stays behind, because then this becomes the forefront, right? Your drama, ancestral drama comes first.
Right.
Then your stuff comes.
Right. So basically, they're not mutually exclusive, right?
No, they're not.
Yeah, because part of your soul contract is the obligation or the continuation of whatever karmic or ancestral or whatever word you want to use to define it best that makes you most comfortable. It has become part of your soul contract, right? So it's not mutually exclusive. They're kind of hand in glove almost.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
And Radha has asked if there is any Pitrudosh or ancestral blockage, will it be cleared for my lifetime?
Yes. So what we do is we go to the point of origin of any issue in miracle method, and we close that experience. So yes, it will be permanently cleared.
Right. And is this with a specific concern? I'm bringing this question up, even though Radha has not asked this. Is it with one specific concern, Charu? It's not like, if suppose I'm taking Radha's name because she's asked this question. If Radha comes to you and says that I'm in debt, all right, and you do this, she does this entire work with you. So the point of origin that you're clearing with ancestral work, so to speak, and the BNC method in combination, is only with that in particular, right? Any other money concerns, issues, that is still untouched. That is still meant to be taken care of separately again, correct?
So yes. So when the way we work is, we take an intention and we do a full energetic surgery. We go by that route, that what created that particular block. Right. So we go by that particular intention. There could be a bonus that in that clearance, some other things might get cleared, but our focus, we go focused with the intention.
But to answer your question, and especially since Radha's brought up about debt, I had actually a client.
No, Radha's not said debt. I use debt as an example.
You use, okay. Anyway,
he's asking if full ancestral lineage, whatever full ancestral thing is cleared.
No. So in bringing up about debt, I wanted to, because since you brought up, and just this one of our client, she was a single mother, and she was in Denmark, and she was struggling to get a job. And she had a very good job in Dubai, but when she went back to Denmark, she started, going into debt, and she amassed a big amount of debt, and she was living off the, the country, I don't know, whatever you call it, whatever they give you, the allowance. And so she said, I'm now tired of this. So I did ancestral healing for debt. And what I found was actually what we find is most of the time the debt is not yours. So the debt was actually her grandmother's, and she was playing out her grandmother's debt, whatever she had to pay back or whatever she had to fulfill, she was paying that. And as soon as I finished the clearing, and I had done it like 12 o'clock midnight, and I messaged her, and then I said, I've done your session at midnight, my midnight, and that was like 10 o'clock hers. And immediately she said, can you believe this? I've been trying to get into this Facebook to promote myself as a single mother. That lady at 10 p.m. in the night has messaged me. And in Europe, they don't work beyond normal hours.
Yeah,
so
they don't.
So like they messaged me and said, we're willing to look at you, and we're willing to give you a platform to work on. And you can't believe the change that has happened for this girl. It's amazing. And now she changed so much for herself, and she's living better. So that is what happens when you change the ancestral, connections.
Fantastic. Oh, and Radha wrote in that she is in debt.
So there's
I just use it as an example. I'm sorry if I hope it was not upsetting for it to come out like this. But rather, hang around. You never know what's going to help you right here, right now, and what is available for you in a short while as well. Ranju has written in saying that I feel our ancestors are not happy with us because the same pattern keeps on affecting us. My husband kept on helping his friend, and after 10 years, we were standing nowhere. Same goes with my son. He too has been cheated. What can we do to please our ancestors? 10 years back, if I see my family, we were the happiest. But ab nazar lag gayi hai. Now we've got the evil eye. In fact, just yesterday when we were talking to Upmaji, I was saying, I said, there are signs in front of you. You don't look at the signs, and then the first thing is you're thinking nazar lag gayi. So tell me something, Brenda Charu. Ancestral patterns, lineages, whatever that needs to be taken care of. Is that what we call nazar lagna? Is that evil eye? Is it?
Evil eye is totally different than ancestral patterns. Totally different.
Right. So let's not blame our ancestors for that, right? Yeah.
So, but the pattern is right. She is repeating a pattern. So what we do is we are doing a repeating script. So what we do is we do say it's like nazar or evil eye and bad luck. But she might be in a sense right, because there could be an ancestral curse which is much higher up, and they actually haven't seen that. So in a way, I wouldn't actually discount her, because we're always intuitive. And what we
not discounting. Yeah. Sorry, Fred, not discounting. I'm saying it's the first thing that we all go to, right?
No, we don't. No, that's what I'm saying. Don't discount yourself, because that is our intuition, and we are actually all blessed with very high intuition. So when we actually get that, we are actually tapping into some imbalance, which we don't know. Like, how would you say, oh, it's an ancestral curse, right? So it's easy to say in that level that that's what it is. But yes, it is, so when the, like for us, like the universe created us to come together. So when the situation is right for anybody, those situations go bang. And that's when everything falls apart.
Right. And questions rolling in, all connected with ancestral. Guris asked, is it true that ancestors can block our abundance and progress? Is it true that ancestral patterns can block our current abundance and progress?
See, what I want to get very clear is that ancestors don't block us. We make a choice that we want to help our ancestral line to progress. And so we need to look at it from the other aspect, that we are actually helping our ancestors, right? So we, in some way, when let's say like an ancestor is passing to life, and that ancestor on the dying bed said, oh, I wish I could have had this mansion, for example, or I wish I could have been rich, or I wish I could have something. So we as a generation step forward and say, okay, grandfather, father, whatever, you want that, I'll do it for you.
Right.
That is what it is. It's like that bonding, like I'll do it for you. I'll do it. I'll help you. So
Right.
in a way, it's not like they block us, it's us deciding to help them. But because we don't have the tools, we get stuck.
Right.
And so what in our work, we have uncovered that we need the tools to clear this ancestral patterns, this ancestral way of life.
And I want to add one more thing here. There are two ways of dealing with the situation. Either you experience it out, which goes generation after generation by the means of experiencing, or the other choice is that you do an energetic clearance and make the save time and reduce suffering.
Right. Don't make it part of your future like you become the ancestor who's passed it on.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And Tanushree is asked whether we carry our ancestral blockage from only our parents or our in-laws as well.
No, you will only carry it from your parents, your lineage. And when you come together with your husband, then you and your husband come together for a reason, obviously to clear something. But the children will take yours and your husband's. So
right.
whatever descendants will be there, they will take either yours or the other person.
So it's always parental, not the in-laws. The in-laws are not involved.
Yeah.
Would it be okay to say, Brenda and Charu, that indirectly maybe because you and your partner affect each other, so not directly but maybe indirectly your husband's ancestral patterns might affect you? Is
not
it
you?
No, not true. Okay. Okay.
It will only affect your children. So your children will this. So I'll give you an example, which is like a health example. So we had a husband who had vitiligo. And we saw from the ancestral pattern that vitiligo came from his mother's side and the mother's genes and everything. And so we checked his, it's a stress disease. So we checked like autoimmune stress, all of these came from the father's side. So him as a father got all of this. The mother came to us, a wife. The wife came to us with hair fall and dandruff and all of these things, right? And that all came from her mother's lineage. So when the child was born, the child actually was born and started having eczema. So in a sense, autoimmune, vitiligo, maybe when he goes 8, 10, he would have that. So he started getting the autoimmune eczema and he started getting dandruff, which was the mother's problem.
Both sides.
Yeah, so it is a child who will decide to pick up the genes, whatever they want to pick up and sort it out. But the husband and wife, no. But what happens is we also come, as I said, we come together to experience and help each other, right? So together you need to learn from your husband and the vice versa wife.
And Tanushree is also asked that if I clear my ancestral blockage, will that help my husband? I think that's clear now, Tanushree. Hopefully that no.
Of course,
you have to do it separately.
No. Of course, it will clear.
Okay.
Because let's say you have ancestral pattern of poverty,
right?
And so you will, if you don't clear your poverty line, you'll create poverty for your husband.
Right. So will it clear his ancestral life?
No, it won't clear his ancestral life. It will clear their life.
Okay.
Their life.
Right. It will, yes. So it will positively affect, but it's not, but the husband will need separate clearance for ancestral. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yes.
The clearance has to be individual per each parental lineage, right?
Yeah. But I'll give you an example on this, Neelu. So we had a client, they had actually from the last Mystic Lotus, they joined our they joined the Money Tele Summit. And what we found was that they had an ancestral pattern that every 7 years, there was a death in the family. So first they had one death, and then the second year they had a next death.
After 7 years.
Sorry, 7 years, the next death. And then the third time, this lady, what she did was, instead of creating the death, she created debt. So no D-E-A-T-H, D-E-B-T, right? And then she was obviously married to her, she and her husband had a company, and that company went into super debt.
Right.
Like, literally, they were drowning. And then once we changed this pattern for them, they actually rose and all that debt changed, and they actually won an offer from a year later now, which is a year later, they won an offer from a government entity in India. And generally what I believe, or what that lady told us, that getting money from a government entity can be a little bit troublesome, but this government entity for their work paid them 100% in advance.
Government.
Yes.
I just froze on government only. So government. 24
Yeah,
hours.
but that was it.
Forgive
They
me.
released the debt mindset, or the debt, whatever the pattern was being created. And so
Right.
that obviously reflected to husband. So then both their lives changed, right? So in that aspect.
Correct. So, Tanushree, hope that clears it for you. And for anybody else who's asked a similar question, when you clear yours, it will positively affect your husband, your family as well. But when it comes to actual clearing of lineages, each is individual. For you and for your husband, for example, all right? So similarly, in fact, I'm skipping a few questions only to bring this question up, and I'll come back to the other questions before that, because here is the next question. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm unable to figure your name out. Person's question is, when we are 4 siblings and all 4 of us have different life issues, for example, the 3 siblings don't have financial issues, while this person is the one suffering with not just financial issues, but also life patterns, is very different from the 3 siblings. So in this person's case, how come the sibling suffering is different from theirs, from this person, and does this still come from ancestral blockage, or is it due to a different root cause?
No, so it's the same thing, right? We don't all, like, each one of us has our own path, right? And everyone is connected to the family tree a different way, right? So when I am born, I can say, I'm going to do this for my parents, and finally for my grandparents, great grandparents, or 7th generation, 8th generation, and finally clear poverty struggle for my whole lineage, or for my whatever. And the others don't necessarily have to choose that. It's about choice, right? So we come into birth, as we talked about soul contracts and our mission and what we are meant to do on this earth. So she's meant to clear up her family struggle. So yeah, it's good. Do it. It's good, because you know what? When your children are born, they will also be free of it, or the descendants. So it's good. It's actually awesome, because I think doing this work, we free our generations to come, so they don't have to be fitting in the box of the parents. I really think it's so wonderful. We actually free people coming forward.
Absolutely.
And such a beautiful world we can create, right, Neeru? Like, if everybody was free of all the ifs and buts and desires, then how beautiful would this world be?
Right. And when you also leave, there would be this sense of relief, maybe, and that, okay, this is not going to carry forward anymore, and at least my generation ahead of me, they'll deal with whatever they have to deal with, that they've decided to come with, but at least this one pattern will be snipped at the bud. So
Yeah.
even while being in this physical lifetime, just thinking of that, there's a sense of relief just knowing that you can do that, right? So,
and taking that a step forward, Bilu, we become our own descendants, right?
what?
In a sense, you're your own ascendant and your own descendant, right? Because we rebirth, in a sense.
Right.
So you are in the same family tree, and so you become your own ascendant and your own descendant. So you might come 4 generations down the road, but you have freed yourself, and that's what it is. We free ourselves and we liberate ourselves for a better, more beautiful, more greater, and a more wonderful world.